Thank you for staying with us. And now the newspaper reviews for this morning. We're starting with The Nation. And the major headline in The Nation, senators, reps rise against terrorism, banditry killings. Kidnapping terrorism to attract death penalty with concerted efforts will defeat insurgency, says General Musa. U.S. imposes visa restriction on violators of religious freedom. FEC approved MTEF project 50.74 trillion naira revenue for 2026. AMCON pays 3.6 trillion naira for toxic assets. CBN raises deposit limit withdrawal threshold. Nikondi versus First Trustees, FBN Quest. Court suspends powers of purported receiver Abubakar Sulu Gambari. And at the bottom strip, we have Senate panel recommends clearance for ambassadorial nominees Oke, Are, and Dalhatu. What do we have in The Nation?
Let me start with that last one. The Senate yesterday recommended that the 3 recommended senators have been cleared, and they should go ahead to be appointed. So
recommended ambassadors:
Ambassador Ayodele Oke, Colonel Kayode Are, and Amin Dalhatu, who are the 3 initial nominees that the president had sent forward. The others, I don't know when the list will come up, but they these 3 got their clearance yesterday, and I hope the DSS have done with their clearance as well. And, you know, it was a heated session, you know, breaking into what they had done in the past, with Oke going on and on as his time when he was former NIA Director General. But it's okay, they've been cleared, and that's it.
Okay. So the United States has imposed visa ban on individuals who have directed, authorized, or supported violations of religious freedom. The restriction may also affect the other immediate family members. The Department of State, in a statement yesterday titled "Combating Egregious Anti-Christian Violence in Nigeria and Globally," said the United States was taking a decisive action in response to the mass killings and violence against Christians by radical terrorists, ethnic militia, and other violent actors in Nigeria and beyond. So also remember that President Donald Trump had set up a Congress meeting for that they should investigate and see what's going on. And that meeting so far, they also found out that they did some investigation. They raised Vicky Hatzler, chair of the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom. She told lawmakers that 20-1 Christians, as opposed to Muslims, are being targeted. That raised the issue of the 300 children that were kidnapped and other issues going on. And she's happy that Nigerians are actually responding. The Nigerian government is responding by at least moving over 100,000 VIP police officers, you know, back to base to help de-escalate the issue. But she has also recommended that targeted actions on Nigerian officials who have demonstrated complicity, visa restrictions, blocking US-based assets, and conditioning foreign and humanitarian aid on measurable accountability on issues like this. And she's also pushing that Nigerians should retake villages which have been seized from Christian families, Christian farming families, so that the mothers, the children can go back and they can once again have a home.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I have the one on kidnapping, terrorism to attract death penalty with concerted efforts. It says will defeat insurgency, says General Musa, and it says to strengthen the battle against terrorism and banditry. The National Assembly yesterday proposed stiff penalties for kidnapping and banditry and other forms of violence. The measures include imposition of death penalty on convicted kidnappers, financiers, and informants, ban on ransom payment, stoppage of negotiation with terrorists, and classification of kidnapping as terrorism. The Senate also took the hardline stance against the worsening wave of the kidnapping after the debates on the bill to seek the amendment of Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022. And this is also telling us that the purpose of the amendment is to designate kidnapping, hostage-taking, and related offenses as terrorism. Okay. So now that they are talking on it, and a lot of voices are on it, we hope that they will be able to amend this act and make people culpable, make them the offenders, make them face the law.
Fantastic. Let's look at the Punch. A major headline: abduction crisis. NASS asks federal government to name terrorism financiers. Miners reject governor's 6-month mining ban plan. AMCON repays 3.6 trillion naira loan to CBN. Abiodun present 1.67 trillion naira 2026 appropriation bill to Ogun Assembly. Senate questions ministers on $30 million school safety project. Good. 22 Lagos PSP operators fired for underperformance. CBN ends cash deposit limits for bank customers. We have federal government unveils 54 trillion naira budget as debt service gulps 16 trillion naira. Voter registration review begins as INEC closes registration. U.S. company withdraws Nigeria's presidential jet from sale. And U.S. mulls visa bans over alleged Christian killings in Nigeria. No, let's go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue with the papers. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We're still looking at the papers.
So
Nima?
I wanted to take the PSP story because you know I've been on this for long.
Yes.
So Loma's managing director and executive officer, Dr. Muyiwa Gbadigeshi, was having a media party yesterday. He announced that 22 of their PSP operators, so PSP operators are private companies that are contracted by Loma to manage Lagos waste, and sometimes they fail. So we'll see waste lying everywhere around Lagos uncollected. So he says that they've had to let go of 22 of them and giving out their contracts to new operators, and that because they failed, they were ineffective, and so they have new people. And he says that he has people who monitor. They have a very strong monitoring team that monitor performances. Come and recruit me and join those monitors, because even though these new companies are taking over, the waste can be very annoying. It's still lying on our express roads, on the Oworo.
Why don't you approach him so that you can? Yes.
I will.
He's here.
Yeah. I will send him a private message.
Please.
You know, so all this while I've been talking because I expect that the PSP are also watching.
Yeah.
And so they will pick up their weight and do better.
Yeah.
Even our own PSP operator now comes once a week, and it comes, you know, at hours that you cannot. We're working hard to see that. You know,
Okay. Yes. So the
Lagos
mining
is clear.
operators in the country have expressed strong opposition to the 6-month planned ban on mining activities announced by the 19 northern governors. The Mining Association of Nigeria warned that the decision would worsen insecurity rather than curb it, arguing that such measures have historically driven out legitimate operators, and created room for bandits and illegal miners to take over mining sites. The association's president, Dele Ayanleke, expressed a strong opposition view during an interview on Wednesday with Punch. And they also recalled that northern governors and traditional rulers on Monday called for a 6-month suspension of mine activities across the region, blaming illegal mining for the worsening insecurity of many states. And this association is saying, Miners Association is saying that is not the case, because when they banned this, the legitimate operators that have invested their money into coming to Nigeria to do this, they would be discouraged. And, you know, like, regardless of what's going on, we keep praying for investors to still come into the country and do what they have to do.
That's something we have to figure out how to work. But Dami,
This one is saying Senate is questioning ministers on the $30 million Safe School project. And on Wednesday, the Senate intensified its probe into the collapse of Safe School initiative by summoning key government officials to explain why the $30 million scheme failed to protect Nigerian school children from relentless attacks. And amongst those invited were the Finance Minister and Coordinating Minister for the Economy, Wale Edun, the Education Minister, Tunji Alausa, and the Defense Minister, General Christopher Musa. The summons was issued by the Senate Ad hoc Committee on the Safe School Initiative, chaired by Senator Ojiuzo Kalu of Abia North, following the adoption of its work plan during its maiden sitting. Edu and other officials are to appear before the committee, and this idea was conceived in 2014 at the peak of Boko Haram school attacks. The Safe School Initiative was expected to fortify learning environments nationwide. But more than a decade later, after millions of dollars and billions of naira in funding schools across the country, remain vulnerable, with kidnapping cases surging. And of course, addressing the journalist, Carlos said that the Senate was determined to uncover why the initiative collapsed, despite substantial domestic and international backing. He says in his words, he says, it is unacceptable that our schools remain soft targets for terrorists and kidnappers. He said, noting that over 1,680 school children had been kidnapped and over 180 schools attacked since 2014. So I think that
we need answers.
$30 million is a whole lot of money not to be answerable to.
We need answers. Let's quickly look at Daily Sun. Major headline in the Daily Sun: Nigerian Christians persecution. U.S. slams visa ban on supporters. We've taken that. FEC forecasts 34.33 trillion naira revenue. Endorses 2026 to 2028 medium-term fiscal plan. CBN ends deposit restrictions. Raises cash withdrawal cap to 500,000. Orji Kalu presides Senate probe of Safe School Initiative. We've repaid 3.6 trillion to CBN, says AMCON. Senate proposes death penalty for kidnapping as Terrorism Act amendment scales second reading. LP crisis deepens as Board of Trustees dissolves Nenadi Usman-led leadership and accuses interim committee of failure. What do we have in the Sun?
I have the bill for death penalty for kidnapping.
Yes, please.
So a bill entitled Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Amendment Bill, sponsored by Senate Leader Okpemi Bamidele. Thank you, Senator, for finally responding to us. You know, was brought to the floor of the House and debated, and it was proposing for an amendment of the definition of terrorism to include kidnapping and as an act of terrorism, and prescribing a death penalty for every offender. So we are taking a story where myself and BC, where a terrorist was sentenced to 40 years in prison, and I was 20 years.
And he had done most of it.
Yes, and he had already done most of it. I was like, so whatever the provisions of the law is, usually would have guided what the court was prescribing. So we're proposing that it should be death penalty for that, and that proposal right now is on the floor of the House. I don't think there will be any argument against. And of course, they highlighted all the evils that have come from this. Kidnapping has become very lucrative for some people. Terrorism is now a word.
They are so brazen about it. They have TikTok videos. They are showing off their looks and everything.
And they are even dashing money to people.
Yes. So please, now going forward, we will have, hopefully, once it's passed and signed.
So the Central Bank of Nigeria has overhauled its cash handling rules, removing all limits on cash deposits and raising the weekly withdrawal cap across all channels to 500,000 naira for individuals. The new policy, announced in a circular titled Revised Cash-Related Policies, and it was signed by Dr. Rita Siki, Director of Financial Policy and Regulations. You know, this is going to take effect on the January 1st, 2026. According to the Apex Bank, the changes are meant to moderate the rising cost of cash management, address security concerns, and curb money laundering risk associated with the country's heavy reliance on cash. The CBN also explained that earlier restrictions were introduced to push Nigerians toward electronic payment, but the need to streamline and update these provisions to reflect present-day realities became necessary. They also said that when you withdraw above the limit, for individuals, they'll charge you 3%, and then for corporate entities, they'll charge you 5%. And this money will be shared between the CBN and the banks at a 40-60 ratio. But then for withdrawal of ATM, it still remains 100,000 naira per individual, and then 500,000 naira weekly for individuals. Yes. Okay.
Our next paper, Nigerian Tribune. U.S. to restrict visas for Nigerians violating religious freedom. Ogun, one of largest contributors to non-oil revenue, Abiodun says. Osun withheld local government funds. Supreme Court delivers judgment tomorrow. 4 persons killed in fresh attack in Kogi. 38 Eruku abducted worshippers return home. Wow. We have transformed agriculture through institutional reform, says Makinde. Senate summons finance, education, defense ministers. Over $30 million failed Safe School Initiative. We've taken that as well. NEC okays 100 billion naira for rehabilitation of security training institutions. And at the top, we've got Musa assures of winning war on insecurity as Senate confirms him defense minister. CBN raises weekly cash withdrawal limit to 500,000 naira, scraps cash deposit cap. Good. FEC approves 2026 to 2028 MTEF projects, 34.3 trillion revenue. So what do we have in the Tribune?
I have shippers decry excessive charges delay at Lagos ports. And shippers under the aegis of the Shippers Association of Lagos State SALS on Wednesday decried the current operating trade environment inside and around the Lagos ports, highlighting multiple levies, illegal checkpoints, container stoppages, delays, bureaucratic processes, and a system that punishes compliant importers and exporters. Speaking during the Shippers Day event, the Nigeria at the event that took place in Apapa, the president of SALS, Nicodemus Odolo, revealed the situation that it discourages Nigerians from importing and exporting goods, with the number of shippers currently in business declining daily due to harsh business environment. He said the celebration, which has at its theme challenges between revenue generation and trade facilitation, also saw presentations from the Nigeria Customs Service, NCS, Nigeria Shippers Council, and other operators. The SALS president stated that his own cargo can stay in the port for 3 months because he wants to do the right thing. And whoever wants to do the right thing in Nigeria suffers, according to him. Those who want to do the wrong thing gets the benefit. He also described the situation where police officers stop export containers on highways to query custom duties, and which is outside their mandate. He says standardization should be clear. One organization issues one document after testing. Once you get to the port, within a day, your cargo should be on board. But too many people are doing the same thing. What concerns police with the duty you pay? He queried. And I think this one, so I had a similar experience with VIO with my vehicle. The VIO said, oh, I couldn't get on the road with my vehicle. Police was just asking me for my driver license, road safety, and I was thinking at the point, everybody should synchronize and let Nigerians know that this is the rule and this is the way we should follow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have another?
Yeah, so bandits on Wednesday morning launched another deadly attack in Yaba East local government area of Kogi State, leaving 2 residents dead. So when this happened, they had called on the police, and the police got to the scene, and the bandits ran into the forest. The youths now were telling the police people that they should chase the bandits, they should chase them chase after them into the forest. And when the police, they were taking their time, the youth started to protest that why people not chasing these people into the forest. And from there, things got out of hand. So the police now mistakenly killed 2 of the youths, and then they now discharged their tear gas, which it could really cause serious injury to a lot of people. A community leader, his name is Mr. Chief David Oni Sunday, was the one that was, reporting all this. And he said that it is unfortunate that the youths who are ought to assist the security agents in fighting the bandits did something else, and it resulted to for them losing 4 people, 2 from the bandits and 2 from police officers. But that security men have now been drafted to Yaba to chase the bandits away. Even the bandits occupying their mining sites have been neutralized by the security operatives. This is so sad, because in trying to do the right thing, loss of lives and people injured. Our heart goes out to them.
Yeah, we need to find better ways to handle this. We can't keep having these self-inflicted casualties. Thank you. That's all we can take from the papers this morning. Let's go on a short break. When we return, we'll move to our hot topic. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.